There's a lot of opportunity for the left because at the end of the day, like I said, without Trump, they're nothing. They have no real focus. They have nothing to sell. They have no record to run on other than what Donald Trump has done. So we just saw what Zohran Mamdani is capable of, a 33-year-old Muslim socialist who's capable of winning an NYC. And even if you're not fully on board with all of his policies, the fact that he won should fill you with hope. The fact that he did it should make you realize that, okay, it's our time to shine now. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a look into these tax breaks, and where the biggest ones are going to go. Let me bring this up. All right. So this is from CNBC, and hold on one sec. Here we go. This is from CNBC, and they got a chart right here that basically just shows what the 1% stand to gain from the tax cuts in each state. So this is the average amount per household per state. And mind you, this is 1%, not the 99. You got Alaska, $83,000, $983,960. Washington, so we're looking this color scale. The darker it is, it's 100,000 or more. So we're looking at all these states, the top 1%, Oregon, California. Oh, California is lower. Oh yeah, you already know Trump is gonna shiv California. Make sure they don't get no damn big tax cuts. Montana, 99,000, Wyoming, 133,000. Utah, so look at all these states where they're just getting this much extra money a year. And obviously, this is just the average. So this doesn't count the people who got all the goddamn money in this country. They get millions of extra dollars a year. This is just regular rich households. Texas, 114,000. I mean, these people are getting tax breaks that are larger than what most people make every single year. And that's just the tax aspect of it. This bill cuts Medicaid by almost $1 trillion. Now, Donald Trump, one of his biggest campaign promises was that he wasn't going to touch Medicaid. And he's still out here saying and acting like he don't know that he cut Medicaid. Like, this bill doesn't touch Medicaid. I don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead and sign it. And they did. And Lisa Murkowski, let's talk about her shameless ass. She was one of the people who originally was pretending like she had this huge problem with the bill and that she wasn't going to sign it because Alaskans, I got to look out for my constituency, but fuck everybody else though. And then I don't have the video pulled up. I don't got no videos today. It's just going to be me talking and pulling up articles for the most part. But, and then I can't remember what the reporter's name was. It was on CNN, but he basically said Rand Paul said that basically something about you left the rest of the country out to dry, something like that. And she just kind of stared at him like with this face, like, and then she got into like, I work hard. I'm very offended. Like, Lisa, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Like, this is who cares if you're offended? You just signed a bill, rather, you just voted for a bill that strips healthcare away potentially from 17 million people. We got CBO estimates showing 11 million, but the estimates go up to 17 million people losing access to healthcare. I mean, whoever the brother was who was talking before I was on here, he was giving an excellent breakdown of how this is going to impact rural America. Guess where the majority of Trump supporters are? Rural America. And but the saddest part about this is it's like this is nothing new. The Republican Party has been actively trying to destroy Medicaid and Medicare, Social Security, and all of that since it was around, since its founding, since FDR put it into existence. The business class, the corporate class of America has been trying to take it away. It's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? And the reason that they continuously vote for it is racism. That's the biggest reason that these people continuously vote for Republicans because I might be broke. I might not be very educated. I might not have a lot of access to opportunities, but at least I ain't one of them black people. At least I ain't one of them Mexicans. And it's been selling and it sells and it sells over and over and over again. And if it wasn't for that, what reason do you have to vote for these people? Now, obviously, there's plenty of conversation to be had about the political system at large, but I'm just talking about specifically these rural Republican voters who vote for a party who's just totally and utterly sold out completely to the. And again, like I said, it's not even that they're totally sold out. It's not even that they're totally sold out to the corporate class. They're totally sold out to appeasing Donald Trump. But again, we looking at all these tax breaks right here, just the average. And there's a whole lot of deep blues here. Now we're gonna go ahead. Matter of fact, before we go into, because I want to take some time to read into how this is impacting things like food pantries and SNAP programs and everyday people's lives. So we're gonna take a look at some of that. But also, let's see. Hold on, where we go. Did y'all see this? I know you saw CBS giving Trump $16 million. Matter of fact, I don't even really need to open that up, but just in terms of, again, like, they have 60 Minutes is trash, bro. Like, y'all really gave this dude $16 million for a court case that you knew you was, bro. There was no way they were gonna lose that case. It doesn't matter. What they did what they always do. They edit the interview, they put it out for time purposes. Who cares? The biggest, what did Trump say? This is the biggest scandal in broadcast history. They should lose their license. Why did they give him $16 million? So that they can be up in the White House during the press briefings and so they can have access. I mean, bro, like, it's pathetic. But luckily we have independent media today. But it's really pathetic, man. But let's go ahead and pull this up because I want to let's see. I want to again go over just some of these people's day-to-day people's lives, how this is impacting everyday people. All right, here we go. We got the Chicago Sun Times up. Trump's Medicaid SNAP cuts leave Chicago food pantries and community hospitals bracing for hardships. So again, this is a look at everyday struggling people, regular people. Natasha McClendon worked about 3 days each week during the school year as a substitute teacher assistant for Chicago public schools, but she wasn't able to land a job for the summer. The 48-year-old Englewood mom worries her struggles to find work could cost her family the public health insurance and food assistance they need. And this goes into some of the work requirements that were put in, I think 80 hours a month, which again could sound nice and it could seem reasonable. But the problem is, just like we're reading here, people come up on hard times. You know, especially if you live in a community, and this is talking about Englewood and Chicago. If you live in a community that doesn't have a lot of infrastructure, that doesn't have a lot of job opportunities, that doesn't have access to to things that we often take for granted if we live in maybe lower middle class to upper middle class neighborhoods. Like, these people can't necessarily just travel to another county or another part of the city to get a job. So it's just not that simple. And this is some of what we're reading about. That's because the current hours may not be enough to satisfy new, more onerous work requirements. What do we do, McClendon asked? Will we actually be able to meet these requirements in order to continue the benefits? The new requirements for people like McClendon's family who are enrolled in Medicaid, health insurance, and receive supplemental nutrition, so SNAP benefits, are expected to ripple across the economy as they roll over the next few years. As more people are losing benefits, demand is going to rise for things like food pantries and medical assistant funds and crisis housing services, Allen said. Those pantries and free clinics and even legal aid are going to be stretched very, very thinly. Illinois Democrats, advocates, and experts have warned that the measure's $1.2 trillion in cuts would cost more than 500,000 Illinoisans their health care coverage and put about 427,000 people at risk of losing food assistance. Again, these are real people's lives. This is what y'all voted for. And the most frustrating thing to me is, again, this is, Trump never hid what he was going to do. He made a lot of campaign promises, but he's always been full of shit. So it's like all these people who are coming out the woodworks to act like, oh, this isn't what I voted for. Like, come on, man. This is exactly what you voted for. But again, check these numbers, man. The $1.2 trillion in cuts will lead, just in the state of Illinois, 500,000 people could lose their health care coverage, and almost 500,000 of them are at risk of losing food assistance. And, the notion that people just endlessly live off food assistance, nah, man, people do that as they need to. That welfare queen shit is BS. And the biggest welfare queens in the country are people like Elon Musk. So let's not let that go over our heads. So again, these are the types of impacts that this big beautiful bill is having all across the country. This is just Chicago that we're talking about. This is just the state of Illinois in terms of that 500,000 number. McClendon's family is enrolled in the Medicaid public health insurance program, and she receives $906 a month from SNAP to feed herself, her husband, their 9 and 12-year-old daughters, as well as an 18-year-old daughter headed to college in the fall. To stretch out the family's budget, she visits the St. Sabrina Church's food pantry on the south side once a month. And also keep in mind, too, this type of stuff, we read stories like this, and it's easy for people, it's easy for people who are, racist in particular to be like, oh, that's just, that's their problem. That's just them black people's problem. No. This is poor people's problem all across the country. And you have to keep in mind, this impacts white people more than anyone else because there's more white people in the country than anyone else. So these, lower middle class to lower income white families who live in rural America or in cities across the country, this impacts them just the same. So we're reading about a black family right now, but this is universal. This is impacting everyone. She fears food pantries and other community resources will be squeezed by rising needs as new work requirements for both SNAP and Medicaid. People like me who have to rely on the food pantry, are they going to have enough food to supply the people that are going to be coming to their pantries for food when they run out of benefits? And again, mind you, hold on. Oh yeah, but again, mind you, as these cuts are made, these systems are going to be stretched more and more thin because more people will need them. And this also goes into things like the general cost of living. You know what I'm saying? Like, how expensive is it to have a mortgage? How expensive is it to pay rent? How expensive is it to buy food every month? And then let's say you have a car. I mean, goddamn, like if you got a monthly car note or you're leasing it, the gas that you have to pay, and it's always something going wrong with the vehicle. You feel me? And if it's anything that's kind of significant, you're probably gonna pay a good $800 every time I done ever had to fix anything with my car that was some type of significant. It was like $800, $900, $1,000, and people don't have that, man. I'm producing a documentary right now about the tornado that came through St. Louis in May. And one of the things that we talk about is how a lot of people on the north side of St. Louis who were mostly impacted by this tornado, by this natural disaster event, who lost their homes, a lot of them don't have homeowners insurance because you aren't required to have homeowners insurance unless you're paying a mortgage. If you're paying a mortgage, you got to have homeowners insurance because you borrowing money from the bank. They want their money, but they want their money's worth. But if you've paid off your mortgage, you don't have to have homeowners insurance. How often do once in a generation tornadoes rip through your city? I grew up in St. Louis, and that never happened while I was there. I mean, I was there when it happened. I'm in Chicago right now. I was in St. Louis when it happened, but my whole life growing up, nothing like that ever happened in the city of St. Louis. So you can't really fault people for not paying homeowners insurance. They got to eat. People got other bills to pay. People have other, you know what I'm saying? So these are issues that impact people all over the country in all different kinds of communities. This isn't just a poor black people issue. This is an American issue. This bill that this man is about to sign into law is going to destroy millions of people's lives. And again, for things like this, The Greater Chicago Food Depository anticipates lines at food pantries will only get longer. And we'll move on to something in a minute. Their network of 850 food pantries across Cook County serve 2.4 million households. last fiscal year, more than in any previous year. So again, you know, this all of these programs are going to be getting stretched thin. As you all have know, as you've been listening to other commentators talk about, and again, the whoever the gentleman was who was on before me, I want to, matter of fact, this weekend I'm gonna rewind it back and check this out because I want to get more information from him. You know, hospitals are going to be shutting down all across the country. This is a massively huge issue.